How you guys doing now? Days into this self-isolation. Hope you're staying sane. I'm staying sane by doing a couple of things. One, I'm letting my daughter paint my face with makeup. And of course I'm doing the Van Dammocalypse. Watch nothing but these Jean Claude Van Damme movies. And to be honest, I know it feels like it's weird out there, but if you think it's weird now, you should have been around in the 90s. We all wore jeans that were 30 sizes too big. You Janko wearing fools know what I'm talking about. Yours truly was one of them. Basketball was the most popular sport in the world, of course. We all bleached our hair weird ways. We were all soul skaters. We all watched pro wrestling on Monday nights. If you don't believe me, all you gotta do is watch 1997 Schlock masterpiece, Double Team, or as my friend Gonzi likes to call it, three men, Van Damme, Rodman, and Rourke, and a baby. Split's about to get real. Has this NBA cancellation got you down? I got you covered here on Hawk Schlock, because you can see what happens when legendary basketball bad boy Dennis Rodman teams up with the Buns from Brussels himself, Jean Claude, to make the worst, best movie starring an NBA star in the 1990s. And if you were around then, if you know some of those movies that came out, that's saying a lot. So interestingly enough, there's a lot of Hong Kong cinema DNA running in Double Team. It was directed by Fro Hawk, who was a bit of a journeyman director, mostly remembered for his collaboration with Jet Li, such as the Once Upon a Time in China movies and Black Mask. And also, it was shot by Peter Powell, who was a Hong Kong cinematographer who just a couple years after this would win the Oscar for shooting Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Talk about going from the limo to the gutter, from hanging out with Jean Claude himself to having to hang out with all those Academy Award folks. But the film, it was not a financial or critical success. It was right around the time a lot of those 80s guys, their star was beginning to fade, and Jean Claude was one of them. And to his credit, Van Damme the man has never blamed anyone but Van Damme himself, in third person, of course, because of course Jean Claude talks in third person, but he's always talked highly of the director. He's talked highly of Dennis Rodman, mentioned how hardworking Rodman was and how he was surprised how strong he was, and they'd have a lot of laughs hanging out while women were painting all of Rodman's nails. He's always been super high on Mickey Rourke, talking about just the absolute charisma the man had, both on screen and off. But he's always basically just said that the Jean Claude he was at that time just wasn't the Jean Claude that he needed to be and that we want him to be, because he was just at a real low point in his life. So Jean Claude, he's on a lifetime sabbatical from his life as a spy or some such, and he's just spying on his wife's belly because she's pregnant with his baby, and we meet him. And actually, first off, let me say this. I don't know what the retirement plan is for a spy, but going by his house, I chose the wrong career. So they're hanging out. She's wearing white, so of course that means she's going to fall into the pool, because, to be honest, I don't know if even half of these love interests in these Van Damme movies are even real actresses. A lot of times I think they were just hot babes. He wanted to Van Slam, so he got him the job. But anyhow, his former boss shows up while they're hanging out, and he offers him the one gig that will make him want to maybe come out of that retirement. His arch rival, the man with a face that will make you reconsider even the most minor of surgeries, Mickey Rourke. He's on the loose, and Van Damme has a chance to finally settle the score. It's made all the more personal when Mickey Not Mouse meets up with this boss shortly after he gives Van Damme the mission opportunity, and he blows him up, complete with the slow motion walk away, Mickey Rourke smoking a cigar. He's a bad dude. This is also a sequence that Van Damme the man has also praised Mickey Rourke on, talking about how really hot that explosion was, but you would never know it by the acting that Mickey Not Mouse was putting on. So Van Damme, of course, he's going to accept the gig. He goes off, but not before having one of those sex scenes that only the 90s can provide. I'm talking, 40% skin, 150% dissolves. I mean, the whole thing's just one dissolve to another, to another, to another. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen some of these old movies. And he meets up with Dennis Rodman, who of course changes his hair every scene. I'm sure Rodman didn't get paid anything near what Jordan got for Space Jam, but Rodman makes up for it with the hair dye budget. In fact, when they first meet, Van Damme gives him some crap about this, gives Rodman some crap about his hair. Rodman's like, hey man, the last time somebody made fun of my hair, they're still trying to get their head out of their butt. And Van Damme's like, hey man, I don't want to hear about your sex life. But things unfortunately go well in this mission. Mickey, he's 1 or 6 or 9 steps ahead. There's an action sequence, a shootout in a theme park. It features its share of grenades, machine guns, Coca-Cola machines. The fighting somehow moves from the theme park to a hospital with babies, turns into a fist fight with grenades as a chaser, and Van Damme is physically injured and unable to continue his career at this point. In fact, they take him to Douchebag Island, where spies who were dead but not really dead go to basically spend their retirement, and they're all led by our old friend, Belloc himself, Paul Freeman from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's here the filmmakers say, hey, you thought Rocky had some montages, some training montages? Wait till you see this. We're going to see Van Damme lift this bathtub all by himself. He also gets a little frisky with it. It's very odd. You're going to watch him drink some Coca-Cola. You're going to watch him do all sorts of versions of the splits because he's trying to, fix his leg or whatever. There's the obligatory butt in the moonlight shot for all you Van Dammeites out there, because he's training for that comeback, and he's got to make his way through some laser-infested waters. Take that, sharks with freaking laser beams on your head. And of course, he does make it out. And if you've seen Batman in, The Dark Knight, the way he makes his little exit from Hong Kong, they basically just stole it from this movie, utilizing, a plane, a boat, and some cargo. Of course, this leads us back to Rodman, who's going to help him out with some supplies. He gets back in the action, and they make their way into Italy with some parachutes that, of course, look like basketballs. Now that's what I call hang time. In fact, if you want to play a little drinking game, every time Rodman references basketball in one form or another, take a drink and see what goes first, your liver or your apocalyptic preparation booze supply. It's probably going to be the former. So yeah, they sneak into Italy, and I'm talking real spy stuff. Rodman steals a car that's too small for him, so small for him that his head is literally out the moonroof. He then hooks up Van Damme with an Adam Sandler wig. I don't know what he's got on him, but it's something that's it's Beyonce worthy if you've seen some of her terrible wigs. So this whole thing is going down because Mickey not Mouse, has kidnapped Van Damme's wife, and now she's given birth to her son, Van Damme's son. That's one way to bring on the Van Dammocalypse, okay? And that leads us to our epic conclusion, and not just any Coliseum, the Roman Coliseum, and it's featuring tigers, landmines, Coca-Cola machines. Rodman and Rourke are shirtless for no apparent reason. In fact, I feel like Coca-Cola paid for half this movie. They didn't pay for half the movie, they paid for all the grenades. And there's a lot of grenades in this movie. Even the thing to save our heroes in the end is a Coca-Cola machine withstanding this huge blast that it would not withstand. All the while, Belloc, of course, is shown back up. He's friends or foes. It's weird. Rodman does a magic trick. Van Damme and the baby leave. Rodman is standing there on the steps of a burnt Coliseum. And then the oddest end-credit song this side of LL Cool J singing "My Hat is a Shark's Fin" pops up. That's Double Team for you. But we're going to give out some schloskers. You got to give it to Rodman and Rourke's chest, specifically Rodman, for those terrible tattoo choices. You get the best use of a Coca-Cola machine to withstand a blast that in reality it most definitely would not. Best use of a laser beam infested ocean to make human sushi. Best worst use of a training montage. Best worst spy disguises and spy equipment for sure. Best slow motion explosion to kill off a character that we're not even sure if we're supposed to care about or not. On my Winona Ryder's face is a walking emoji generator scale of Schlock cinema. I give Double Team 2 Winonas and a WTF face. Do they make a WTF emoji, I guess? Winona would. I know that. Double Team is it's on Blu-ray now, DVD, streaming, all that sort of stuff. It's a pretty horrible piece of action schlock trash. So that means it comes highly recommended.
Hawk Schlock!